Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel, and it's ExtraTyne tonight. So I'm a last-minute substitute coming in for ExtraTyne. Jess couldn't make it tonight, but we're still here. We didn't throw the towel in, Laura. We're still here.
No, we're here.
And we've got two regulars back. Roger, who's we might as well just announce him as a member of the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel this rate. Can I get rid of him?
I've got my fake background and everything, so I'm ready. I've got my green screen.
And we've got my good friend Chris
Hi,
back
mate.
tonight. How's everybody doing? Is everybody fine this evening?
Yeah,
I'm
fine.
good, mate. I'm good. I'm good.
Really good.
So first comment in tonight is saying, I think it might have been Judy saying Jess would have been on time. When I'm around, you know for fine well this isn't starting when it's supposed to start.
This is
Well,
early for you.
Well, there is a reason behind that one.
I knew you
So,
were going to say.
before we started recording, as always, people will know who's ever been on this show before. We say try and wear headphones if you can do. So if this fella beneath me, the lad below me, I said, Chris, you got headphones with you? This was at 20:58, I think it was. And he said, yeah. He walked out the door behind him, comes back 4 minutes later and goes, I've just had to run home to get them. That's commitment, Chris. That's absolutely dedication to the cause, mate.
Did that for you.
Right. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the result that we had at the weekend?
Yeah.
Is that a good place to start for you?
Let's go for it.
Right. So on the Always Smiling Faces podcast, as people know, Mark Walker was very confident with this one. Thought West Ham weren't as good as what people were making them out to be. First half, he was probably right. We completely dominated that. Second half, Steve Bruce done a typical Alan Pardew half-time team talk, and it went to shit after that. But first off, I'll come straight to you, Laura. What were your thoughts on the first half? Shocked by the performance?
Yeah, I thought, to be fair, the first few minutes, I think there was a lot of careless, sloppy play. I think they kept passing it. Was it Dummett made a sloppy pass? Murphy made some passes. And I was thinking, oh, God, here we go. And then it seemed to just all come together. And West Ham did a total Newcastle and just completely fell apart. And I couldn't believe it. 1-0 up and just a complete laughable goal where obviously that Diop just like backheeled it into his own goal. And then 5 minutes later, Joe Linton, another goal for Joe Linton. And I think he's had a lot of criticism, and rightly so, for his positioning. I know we've talked about it in the group chat, Chris, and I think he was in the right place at the right time as well for when Fabianski dropped it. So I thought it was really good. And then, like you say, Steve Bruce team talk was an absolute joke the second half. Why we didn't think to capitalise on a 10-man West Ham. They had more possession, they had more chances, and were totally deserved for them to score 2 more goals. It was ridiculous. But luckily, Willock pulled us out the shit again. And it was a great cross from Richie. And even before that, we had a few chances when it was 2-2. Off the line, was it Miggy? No, Murphy. Yeah, Miggy should have scored. And then Murphy, and he hit off the line. But I think Bruce, like, again, I don't mean to then bring it back to a negative, but he's
Go on, slag him off. Go on, Laura, slag him off. We're 4 minutes in, slag him off.
He's such an arrogant man. Like, he kind of like threw the players under the bus and said that, oh, well, it's human nature to sit back. No, what did he say? Human nature.
He said that. I think he said something along the lines of the players did everything that he told them not to do, or something like that.
And it's human nature. It's human. He used that phrase, human nature, because I wrote it down, and stupidly I thought I'd remember the rest of the quote. No, can I? So all I've got is human nature.
Human nature.
Yeah.
Is that a Michael Jackson song?
Something was human nature. Is that not the Earth song?
Oh,
No. I'm not a fan.
You're not a fan of Michael Jackson? Is that because of the music or the outside of music activities? Allegedly.
Nah, just not a fan.
Roger, I think Laura summed it up perfectly. Not Michael Jackson's career, but that first half, seeing that West Ham did a Newcastle. That is the sort of performance you normally see from Newcastle, like when Matt Ritchie scored an own goal by kicking the ball in his own face. We've had it so many times this season. I think Clark scored an own goal where it was a massive deflection not so many games ago.
It's the sort of like opposition performance you need when you're at the bottom of the table, and you really you just need. Well, to Bruce, it would be 3 wins back to back to back, but to get like back to back wins, and like you need a team to just have an absolute shit fest. I mean, even I bet you 3 games ago that tackle by Dawson, the ref would have stopped the game, and like it wouldn't have gone onto a goal. So I just think it was just a perfect storm of like after the first sort of 10 minutes when we were a little bit jittery, we got into our groove, and like I think the players like realized like, oh, these are here for the taking here. And obviously I think Declan Rice being missing, I think that was a big factor. Although I don't really, he's one of those players, he's probably a bit like when he leaves West Ham, you'll realize how good he was, because he seems to just hold things together for them, and I think they just looked all over the shop. But I think it was a really, really promising performance, and then it just went absolute hell and high water. And the second half, like Laura's right, like what did he say? What is he? He has, like you were saying before, like it was like a Pardew-esque capitulation.
We used to have some great first half performances on a Pardew. But then second half was like a different team, wasn't it? They used to come out on a Pardew. It was really bad at times. It
was a good battle. I liked it. Was like Richie and that the fullback, the Kufal, I don't know his name, but it was a really good back and forth between them two.
Did you think it was handball? Just to throw it in there, because I know was it in our group chat, Chris? There was a few. It was like a few said yes and a few said no. Did you think it was handball?
Yeah, it's 100%
unnatural.
Yeah, I mean, he was arms going up and the players helped his arm up, but like you cannot do that.
I mean,
like,
you do jump with your arms, but he's kind of put it on the back of his head, hasn't he?
It's just, I don't think, obviously it's not intentional, but I think it's just Clark's hand just lands in an awkward position on the player's head, and he just can't move it. That's what it looks like. He just kind of
normally that would be on his shoulder as you jump above it, but
he pushed it up.
He's one of them players, though, Clark. Like he's so reliable, and I really like him. But then every so often he has like a he'll score an own goal, or he'll handball it. He's just one of these players, like, but he's been so, he's been good. I really like him.
He's been a great servant, hasn't he? Great servant of the club.
Really good player for a while.
Very reliable.
Yeah. Chris, Roger, I mentioned that like the referee will most likely would have saw a referee stop that play early on the season's gone by. But referees and VAR came under huge criticism recently. And there's people out there giving the referee credit for letting that run of play continue when obviously Saint went on and grabbed the goal, even though it didn't go down to Saint's goal. It was definitely on target. It was definitely going in for the player, wasn't it?
It was past the keeper. It was past the
keeper. He missed it.
Yeah. But should we really be giving the referee praise here, or just expect them to be continuing play with that? Because that's what it's there for, isn't it?
Do you think he maybe knew that St. Maximum never got a chance of scoring? Because it's
no matter who Saint's up against, you just turn defenders into nuts, isn't he?
Because he's got the ball, he's obviously likely to take on the 3 remaining defenders, or however many.
Are you saying that if Joe Linton had the ball, he would stop the game? Is this the way having a go at Joe Linton?
Is it Joe Linton from 3 games ago, or is it Joe Linton from 3 months ago?
But both goals were absolutely shocking, weren't they? Though, like they're absolute, like gifted, absolute gifts. Like you said, it is the type of goals we would give away. Like it's absolute gifts for the other for us. But I do think the point that Roger touched on before with Declan Rice not being there, that was a key. Him and Antonio as well. So he caused absolute nightmare for the defences, Mikel Antonio. So with them two not being in, it did give us a chance. And with like first half, we took advantage of that, and them 2 goals, like especially the second one. Like,
Yeah.
well, to be fair, both of them were equally as bad, but the keeper spilling that, you wouldn't expect a keeper to spill that, would you? So
It just lands
Was a
awkwardly as
gift.
well, just perfectly in
Aye.
front of Julian, doesn't he? Kind of miss
Yeah,
it there.
it does, it
But
does.
like Laura said, right place, right time, and that's something that we've been crying out for Julian.
yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't
More
pass
times
it,
we've
to
been
be
screaming
honest.
at him.
Yeah, he could have missed it though. Like,
Square it,
let's all establish, he definitely could have missed it. Like, he could have spoofed off his foot and just went
Yeah.
high. Like,
No, 100%.
Scott Adams got that.
But we tried our hardest not to win that game. Come the second half, but we did try with damnness to try and well, we did let West Ham back into it. They got back to 2-2. What I want to mention, we touched on this on Monday night's stream, Laura. But what I want to mention is shithouses. So Callum Wilson, the biggest shithouse you can possibly think of right now for Newcastle United. Somebody who just gets in players' faces, just winds them up a little bit. Something which we saw on Lingard's penalty. Who's your favourite shithouse?
Personally, first one that came to mind was
Preferably a footballer, doesn't like.
no, first one that came to mind was Andy Carroll. I think he's a massive shithouse. I think when you're in a battle and you want someone to wind players up and be a complete nuisance, I think he is top of the list, or near the top of the list. I think he would always be the one to be in the ref's face, in the player's face, winding players up, in the goalie's face. Yeah, I think he's my favourite shithouse. Good question.
Roger, you got a favourite?
Does it have to be Newcastle or?
We can have both. We can have one of each. Mate.
I'll go. Newcastle one would be Stephen Taylor.
Yeah.
In front of the keeper, I was like,
free kicks.
Imagine, oh my God, you would want to absolutely kick the shit out of him if you're the keeper.
So if people haven't heard, Ryan Taylor speaks about Stephen Taylor doing that in front of the goalkeeper on the podcast, which we did with him. And he basically says that the players of the opposition team must have been thinking, what the fuck's this kid doing? Like, I think the players were embarrassed by Taylor at that point.
Yeah.
Who's your second one, Roger?
And then Diego Costa. Oh my God.
Shout that, mate.
Oh,
absolute shout.
Absolute. Like a proper, like if there was a dictionary definition and a picture, he would be like straight in there. And I think I was listening to an interview with somebody. Oh, they were doing it was on the BBC Sport one, and they were doing like hard men. That was their the theme. And somebody said Costa, but they were like, he's not a hard man because he's all the front. You like flick your ear and then run away and then like like that sort of shithousery, but some really top quality shithousery. Like
he was fantastic, fantastic. Chris, who's your favourite one?
I would say for us a combination of Barton and Nolan when they were playing together.
Yeah,
they would the 4-4 against Arsenal. Barton getting what was the player he got sent off for
Javino for Arsenal? Javino?
Yeah,
no, it wasn't Javino. It was a centre midfielder.
Diaby sent off, didn't he? So like that obviously started the comeback, and but him and Nolan was equally as good at it as well.
Was goalkeeper as well? Did he not get throttled by the goalkeeper as well?
I think he did. But I'm saying that them two together equally as a partnership. Them two in midfield were equally as good at that. So we definitely miss players like that. So the more you have, the better, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm a huge. The more shithouses in one single team, the better for me. Like just like a Real Madrid of shithouses, because they are the definition of that. Like
when Mourinho flicked when he was managing Real Madrid, he was like,
was it one of the coach's lugs?
Yeah, you're like, whoop, see ya.
Just give him a wet willy. My favourite shithouse of the current squad, it has to be Matt Ritchie, just on his own players. Never mind the opposition, just obviously when we're scoring goals and stuff like that, just obviously ragging people. Mitrovic as well, when we used to celebrate goals. Pua Perez, he used to get braid all over after he scored.
Just to slap him around the head every time he scored.
Was pulling his hair, one of them. Was pulling his hair back. But I think we could do a full podcast on shithouses. Yeah, we could do. Right. Let's put West Ham to one side and let's talk about the thing which everybody is talking about at the minute. Something which didn't last very long, and it wasn't Chris Day. It was. Sorry, mate. Sorry. That came from nowhere.
You know what? Jess is never this vulgar. I just want to put it out there. She's never vulgar. You know what I mean? Like, Just
It's
pure
past 9 o'clock
vulgarity.
now, mate. That's why.
The watershed.
So, the European Super League, or the ex-European Super League, I'm not sure what we should be calling it at this moment in time. Something which it's been in the shadows for a long time now. The debate's been going on for years and years. But it finally started happening. It looked like the final piece of the puzzle was getting put in. Obviously, 48 hours later, it's gone absolutely well. I think Real Madrid are still clinging on to it, but it's still there somewhere. But Laura, what were your thoughts on that initially? Did you think it was just a two fingers up to the rest of us?
Yeah, I agreed with the entire country. I was shocked, angry, but not surprised at all, because I think football's been a business like that for so many years. It's lost its total like working class appeal, and I think Newcastle fans know that before anybody else. Just like without the success of the Big Six, I think it's been like that for a while, and just thank God it didn't go through, and the fans actually, I think, massively put a stop to it, and the absolute like outrage and outcry and protests and stuff. But then I think it would just completely lose its value. I think why would you want to play those teams constantly over and over again? And the competition's like gone. Like when like Liverpool get drawn to Real Madrid or whatever in the Champions League, it's like the build up, the excitement. It doesn't happen that often, and it would just completely like turn into like the Scottish League, where there's an old firm every other week or whatever, and it just loses its touch, I think, and it was just pure greed and selfishness and cheek really for some of the teams. And I know it's been said quite a bit this week, but I mean, you look at who was it? Was it big teams of like? I know I do. My memory shit. Like the big teams have struggled against the fallen 14 or whatever, and try them playing Barca, Madrid, Milan every week. They'd be humiliated. So it would. It just would have been a massive joke, and I'm glad it hasn't happened.
I think obviously, like you said there, it's everybody is enraged by it, but now that it has been put, well, I'm saying it's put to one side, it hasn't as such. But one of the things I want to speak now, I'll come to you, Roger, is the likes of managers and players since obviously the news broke that all these clubs were entering, which I don't think it's been discussed a huge amount across like the Newcastle United podcasts and YouTube channels. But the first person really to come out and say anything was Jurgen Klopp before the Liverpool Leeds game. Stepping on eggshells, I thought. I'm not sure what your opinion was on it, mate.
Yeah, I think like I think the lack of respect that these owners have shown, obviously to the fans, is ridiculous. But even to your own employees, you know, not to give. I don't think that anybody had their heads up. So you kind of like, they probably didn't want to go full on what they feel about it, because Klopp's already said, like I think 2 years ago, about he wasn't interested in a Super League. So it was obvious that that was his position. But I don't think he could come out and be like, "Oh, I'm going to speak to FSG or whatever it is," and you know. I just think they couldn't do that, and I think all the players, I think they're so concerned about, you know, saying something and then it coming back to bite them on the arse financially, or in social media, or in their endorsements, or in the thingy. So I think I was completely unsurprised that they said the bare minimum they had to, and then obviously once somebody, it's like when somebody left the league, like when Chelsea or Man City said, and then everybody else follows, like. That's just the way. I think that's just the way it works.
And no effect, isn't it?
Yeah, like, but I think it's all Perez. What's his name? The Real Madrid,
Florentino Perez. Yeah.
The Spanish, you know, Barcelona in huge debt. Real Madrid are in absolute huge debt, and they see how marketable the Premier League is and how much money is floating around the Premier League for those. Fucking Big Six. It's such bollocks.
I know.
Like, well, really, it's the big three plus three little add-ons who occasionally,
win it. Shall we start calling them the win it?
The win it.
And I think they saw the dollar signs even more than there are already. But I do think that we might have won. The fans have won the battle, but I think in the end we'll not win the war. I think money talks, and unfortunately, I think this is the way football has been heading for 10, 15 years. Like, the way the fans are being treated by Sky. I think it's really rich that all of a sudden UEFA, FIFA, and Sky Sports are the saviors of football and football fans. That's just absolute dog shit.
Yeah, I mean, I touched on this last week, and that's what annoyed me the most, that these TV stations, radio stations, will take the moral high ground when far as back as I can remember, it's always been about the top six. They don't give a shit about the rest of them because these are the ones that bring the money in. And I allude to the fact that if we have 2:05 kickoff, we get no coverage whatsoever, not even at half time. We get nothing. Then as soon as full time comes, we're straight back to the next game over. They literally don't care. But on the back of that, Chris, we mentioned Jurgen Klopp's comments there. The day after, we saw Pep Guardiola do his press conference, and his was completely different. Basically saying what he would give his opinion on the facts which he had in front of him. Basically saying I know is exactly the same as what the rest of the world does at this moment in time. And his reaction was shocked us a little bit because I thought the majority of people would have kept quiet, but Pep spoke out a tiny bit, not massively, but a tiny bit. He gave a glimpse of what his opinions were.
Yeah, like it doesn't. I don't think either of them really. I think they were kind of like it forced. They couldn't really say what they wanted to say. That you could tell they both wanted to say more. They're both against it. You could tell that, but they couldn't say obviously what the likes of Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher could say because they're not in that position. Obviously, he's still employed by the club, so he couldn't really come out and say his true feelings. But I think they both could have said a little bit more. But it was especially Klopp. I think he was quite defiant in the fact that he was just wanting to defend his players because of the T-shirts. I think it was that Leeds had on. He was kind of
a little bit rich coming from Liverpool as well, isn't it?
Don't get the T-shirts for them.
Yeah, he seemed to be against that. You know what I mean? More than anything else, it was more.
Yeah, he was pissed off about the T-shirts and pissed off about the fans removing flags from the stadium.
Yeah.
And then he was pissed off at Gary Neville and had a go at him as well.
It seemed, it did.
He was just being really defensive, and he made himself a bit silly.
He was. That's what I'm saying. He could have said a lot more, but he was very defensive.
He could have been very gracious and just said like professional. Instead, he just went on this like little schoolboy rant and was like, and Gary Neville this and Gary Neville that, and it was just like, oh, calm down.
That's not the issue. You know what I mean? Yeah. The issue is what his club's trying to do behind his back, behind the players' back, behind the fans' back.
But I also I'm going to play devil's advocate, and I think that was probably so frustrated from the owners not letting them know and giving them any heads up. And then Liverpool were the first game, so all the spotlight was on Klopp because a couple of hours ago they knew nothing, and then it was Klopp go in front of the cameras, and he was probably fuming and just let it all out.
Like they found out when we found out, kind of thing. It was
I think everybody's probably. I think the whole football world is probably waiting for what Steve Bruce is going to say on Friday.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let's not be around. If any of that club got invited, they would have joined.
Well, 100%.
Mate, Ashley, he would have been all over it.
He would have been.
What? Is he relegated?
There's no relegation.
As soon as Chelsea dropped out, he would have been straight on the phone. There's an open invite here, go on, lads.
100%.
Oh man,
that was the worst thing for me. Is the no relegation.
Straight on the phone.
Like it was the audacity of them to think that they deserved the right to be there every single year. Like what was it, something like a 20-odd year deal or something they were signing? Yeah. Like we're here all the time. It's because in America, obviously in their leagues, I think it's a basketball and things where they just play. It's the same team.
Regional leagues. They have like regional tournaments and all that shit all over.
But they don't have any. Do they have relegation? They don't have relegation. No. So that's where obviously the American owners don't understand the concept of relegation or I mean, nobody wants to be relegated, but it's a fact that if you don't play well enough, you do get relegated. That's sport. It's how it needs to be. You try and change that, you're changing literally what it's always been.
That's what Pep basically said, didn't he? He said, without competition, it's not a sport.
That's it. That was obviously he's bang on there. Exactly that.
I think that the thing that disappointed me between the two managers, not Pep, because to me Pep said as much as possibly could, but Jurgen was the fact that I think a lot of football fans, especially in this country, class Jurgen Klopp as the likes of the working class manager, somebody who always comes out and he's always on the side of the fans. And Liverpool fans have got a great connection with their manager, complete polar opposite to what we have. Probably similar to what we had with Benitez, you would say.
Yeah.
So I bet you the Liverpool fans were disappointed with him. Like,
the hat ripping.
Yeah, I think there would have been. I mean, I think because they love Klopp, I think they would have just. Well, I know that there's a couple of Liverpool fans that they saw it from Klopp's point of view, where he just didn't want to say it too much. He's always on the defense of the team. He hates Gary Neville, so he was just like, "Oh man," he was just on one. It was. I think there should be like a celebrity boxing match at the end of the season. Like, raise money for the other 14, the forgotten 14.
The forgotten 14.
All the proceeds to the forgotten 14.
It's just, we could speak all night about this. We did put a question out to Twitter, which we'll come up to in a second, though. Laura, what do you think needs to happen now to stop this from happening again? I know there's rumours now saying that they're going to change the likes of the contracts between the Premier League clubs and things like that, saying that if they ever have this sort of idea again, they'll get chucked out and they won't ever come back.
But why are they giving them a warning? They try to do it. Exactly. So I think it shouldn't be about a warning. I think this is... I was going to say something from a teachery.
Come on, come on, what are you going to say?
Don't give warnings if they misbehave. Punish them and give them a consequence, and they'll not do it again. The more you
consequences out.
Once you let them get away with it once. What
about positive reinforcement? You know,
I'm not a fan of all that. I just think if you do something wrong, you're punished, and then you won't do it again. If you get off it and you're a bit lenient, and you just think, oh well, just slap on the wrist, don't do it again. Everyone's angry with you, so they're not bothered.
Well, Laura, do you have favourites who you would be lenient with?
Yes.
No.
She does. Look at that face. She does. 100%. Roger, what do you think should happen to these clubs? Let's talk about this league at the start of next season. What needs to happen right now?
I mean, we know that nothing's going to happen to them because they are the cash cow. So, but I think really they should have points deducted. And I think there should be some sort of like transfer, like an embargo on what they can spend. But these clubs will have solicitors who will just absolutely wipe the floor with it, you know. And I feel, you know, obviously we're hard done by because we're all Newcastle fans. But like, if you're a fan of Bury or, you know, one of these teams who's like Chef Wed, who've been docked points for being poor, you know. And it, like when Souness said, "Oh, it's not the fans' fault that," you know, he was on about. Obviously, he doesn't want Liverpool getting any points docked, and he doesn't want them being sanctioned. So he's saying, "Oh, well, it's unfair on the fans." Well, how's it the fans' fault that Bury went out of business? Or, you know, like it's so much football is so full of double standards that like
it's protecting the elite, isn't it? That's what it is, mate.
And that's what's turning people off it. That's what's turning people away from those big clubs, and they're just like we're like sick of them because it's just it's all about them, and they forget about all the other teams that have been absolutely fucked over by the FA, by the Premier League. Like Middlesbrough got docked 3 points and ended up getting relegated because they had a sickness bug. But nothing will happen. Nothing will happen to these teams because they're too powerful. Like because they'll say, "Oh well, we'll just go off there again." Then
do you think? Chris, do you think this is the reason why that rumours was leaked earlier this afternoon, saying that, right, they're going to change the rules now, where if they ever think about this again, then they're gone and they won't come back? Do you think they're just planting the seed now, thinking, we're not going to do anything right now, just in future? And like Laura said, class it as a warning.
Well, that's what that tells you, doesn't it? It tells you that they're not going to punish them immediately. But if you ever think of doing that again, we will punish you. There should be docked points. 100%. Teams are being docked points for less, like for fielding an ineligible player, or do you know what I mean? Like they've like tried to ruin our football. Basically, them chairmen, them owners have tried to ruin the English game, and it's like, how much more severe can you get?
Yeah, the first meeting's going to be awkward, isn't it? When they all get together again, they'll be like. Do you want to sit next to Liverpool?
Well, it leads to my next question. Is more news this afternoon comes out. Something which Amanda Staveley mentioned way back, saying that the top six have got a lot of say in the Premier League. News came out when all these Premier League clubs have these meetings that the day prior, these 6 clubs have a meeting first to decide what they want the outcome to be of the next meeting. So it just shows you how much they have the Premier League by the balls, doesn't it, Laura?
Yeah, massively. It's just like in any workplace or whatever. It's like you've got your top, and then you've got the little peasants underneath that just get the information fed to them like 2 days later, 3 days later. They make all the decisions. Then they bring it back to everybody else and ask the question as if, has anyone got any input? Has anyone got anything to say? Oh, well, we're just going to go with this anyway because we already decided that yesterday. It's just like we said earlier, it's just all about power and money. And unfortunately, it's not going to change because they have the power and they have the money. And there's just, as much as it's annoying and frustrating and unfair, and there's not much we can do about it.
Could the 14 make their own league? Could the 14 have a breakaway league?
Be the shittest league ever made.
It's still
it'd be mint. It'd be absolutely mint. It'd be good.
If you had an additional thing to that league, so a new rule to that league, Roger, what would your new rule be?
It would be.
It could be anything, mate. Like
the
anything.
person who scores goes in goal.
Shout, absolute shout
for the team they've just scored against. And then they all have to swap socks after every throw-in, and then the keepers can't wear gloves. They've got to wear, them kitchen gloves that are linked.
No, they should have to wear them big foam hands that they wear at the wrestling.
Yes. No, Matt Ritchie gets one of them, but it's a fist. It's made of stone.
Like the whole cans that you can get. Chris, what would your rule be? Your new introduction to this rule. I know we're going off on a tangent, but I don't care.
That's every time Newcastle score, they get 3 goals for each goal.
That's the most boring rule ever made. Jesus Christ!
Where's your kitchen gloves? Come on.
God knows me. I don't know.
Laura, have you got anything off your top of your head which is a hell of a lot better than Chris's?
No, and I did warn you at the beginning not to ask anything off the cuff because I can't think.
Roger's led us down a path, so I'm going.
You suggested it.
Do mention the new league.
Anytime Newcastle don't pass to a black and white, they instantly have to get it back.
What?
Every time you foul somebody, you lose an item of clothing.
Yes, I was going to say that. I was going to mention Dummett and taking his top off, and that.
Yes,
that's better.
Every time Dummett blocks across, he has
just as you said that, we've just dropped down to 69 people watching. Yes, 69.
Oh my God, the vulgarity.
Right, let's go to the question that we'll put out to Twitter. So I said the question this week to everybody was, what lasted longer than the Europe Super League in the world of NUFC? So obviously a play on words there, just taking the piss, the things which were quite what's the word I'm looking for?
Short-lived.
Short-lived is a great word to use. Laura, I'm assuming you've got notes on this one.
No, I don't.
What? I literally tag you in the tweet.
I'll text you then.
No, because this isn't how Jess does it, and Jess normally just puts the things on the screen, and then
if I look on this and you've retweeted this, there's going to be hell on. Let's have a look.
Right,
just retweeted it, man. What are you doing?
Right, well, I've been really busy today, and I seen that I had lots of tweets, so I just retweeted it, and then I thought, well, it doesn't matter. I don't have to read them because Chris will put them on the screen like Jess does. But I've got 2 of my own, but they're not that good, and they're not that funny.
These are 2 that you've sent in here?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I sent them just in case I forgot.
Right, so I'll read yours out. Can you remember what your 2 were?
Yeah, I can.
Right, go on, let's go. Yeah, I can.
The first one was things that last longer is when Maximum gets tackled, his scream lasts longer than the European Super League.
Shout.
And then Newcastle's holiday camp or days off last longer after a defeat than the European Super League.
Yes.
Newcastle's holiday camp, what happened to that? Let's be honest, started winning games since we've had all those days off.
Yeah, no.
Roger, do you have any to add to Laura's list?
I might have a few.
You say Roger.
So I've got Steve Bruce's mole investigation. That's Not on his
That's
not
a
on his
shout
body.
out, mate.
Not like on his body. It's the mole. The mole. Craig Hope's stadium ban, because that's like ongoing. Steve's hair island. You know, he had that little hair island.
Yes.
And his Dutch accent as well.
Yes.
That's a kind of double header. Stefan Givosh.
I think there's a shout for that in the comments as well, mate.
Circular cards. You know, when the referees used to give
Yes.
for
No
colourblind people. Like a yellow was rectangular and a red was circular.
Did they not use them quite a lot in the international tournaments, those as well?
Yeah. 10-yard advance. Remember they used to put the ball forward 10 yards if there was descent for a free kick?
No.
What?
Nah, I can't remember that, mate.
It's like early, probably there's like, I think 2000s. And like, so you would get a free kick, like, say, 35 yards out, 30 yards out. So say if you've got like a Ginola standing over the ball, the players on the opposition team would deliberately like do something to get the ball moved forward 10 yards. So then it kind of, you know, like
shortens the distance to go, make it more difficult like, up and over.
Aye, yeah. And it like, so they just got, I think it was like a season it lasted. I remember it happened with Newcastle and Shearer had a free kick and it was like, oh my God, this is in the greatest position ever. And like, it would have been someone like Robbie Savage came out and like started going at the ref.
He is a
Proper shit house. And like, they moved it forward and like, it just hit the wall. It was just horrendous.
To be fair, that rule could be introduced in your new shit 14-team league.
Yes.
But then you could have a decision if you want to go back or forwards or sideways, whichever 10 yards you want to go.
Yes. So that like the referee has to spray a 10-yard circle, right? All the players take that. No, they don't take the clothes. Right. So, and then the other one was the golden goal.
Yeah.
It was the Euros, was it? The Euro.
One of
the international tournament, wasn't it?
Shittest rules ever. No, it went on for about 6 years.
Was that in like cup games as well, like FA Cups?
They brought it in France 98. I remember because I think it was like Chile or Paraguay.
It's up there with the shit MLS penalties where they used to run from the halfway line.
Oh yes, quality.
And the keeper could run out as well.
Oh, amazing! Georgie Campos absolutely loved it.
It was like a hockey penalty, wasn't it? It was similar to a hockey penalty.
Yeah.
Chris, have you got anything? Oh, Roger, you're still going. I saw you looked at your notes. No, you got more.
He's got more notes.
Let me just check my notes.
Our current winning run.
Yes.
We're on 3 games now. We beat Spurs, we beat Burnley, we beat West Ham. So that's 3 days, 3 games.
It'll come crashing down on Saturday.
Hey.
Sorry.
Chris, anything?
Yeah, our faith in Mike Ashley when he first took over, everyone thought he was going to be. Everyone thought he was going to be this great rich owner.
Can you remember which player he had on the back of his shirt?
Oh, Alan Smith.
Alan Smith, yes.
It was Alan Smith,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was Alan Smith, yeah.
When he was
another good shit house.
With the fans.
Really good shit house.
Mike Ashley, when he was drinking with the fans and stuff, and he was, everyone was thinking he was going to be great.
Laura went on a date with him?
Yeah, Did you hear about that?
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, he got her a drink.
I feel like, what's it from Greece? Tell me more, tell me more.
No, that was a shithouse move from Chris because it was in blue bamboo with like thousands of other people.
I think it was actually Jess that said that last week, not me.
Okay, sorry.
Next on your list, Chris?
The naming of the Sports Direct Arena. So that didn't last long.
Daryl's also said that on Twitter as well.
Yes, I think he has. But yeah, so that was can we call Mike Ashley a shit house? Because for different
just a tosser.
No, because I think shit houses are quite like
lovable.
Yeah.
They're lovable. Aye. So I scrap that and scrap that. But yeah,
Mike Ashley's got a mom as well. You know, he's got somebody loves him. Like there is.
Well, apparently, Mike Ashley's parents come to the Newcastle matches more than what he does. Got a box at St James's Park, and then they're for nearly every single match.
I bet he makes them pay though.
Probably, mate. Probably.
You know what I mean?
Right, let's go through some of these on Twitter. Laura, you also said apple crumble in Bruce's household.
Oh yeah, I forgot about. See, this is why I tweet because I forgot about that one.
I tweet because I forget. There's a strap line for you.
Samantha, regular on ExtraTyne as well. She said false number 10s. Callum Lewis says the dust in our trophy cabinets. I think he got that the wrong way around because that's quite long-lived.
That's been
that
a
one.
long time.
That is huge.
Yeah. Some more is Paul Mosley says Mitro's time on the pitch before being booked on his debut.
It's a fair shout.
Yeah, 10 seconds.
Did he
7.
get booked on his debut? Did he get sent off?
7
got booked
seconds.
as soon as he come on as sub, didn't he?
Yeah.
Arsenal, I think, was it?
James Thompson says Kieran Dyer's hamstrings. bit harsh, but yeah. James Thompson also says Sunderland's lead when Chopra came on. I think Chopra gets a running mention on the ExtraTyne, doesn't he? He always gets brought up on ExtraTyne.
He's an absolute hero. What are you on about?
Rob M, also ExtraTyne regular, says Joe Linton's goal YouTube compilation, which is extending on a weekly basis, I must add.
Yes.
Let's have a look to see if there's any more. Rob Dennis also gets the wrong side of it and says Sol Campbell's turning circle. I think, to be honest, I think I might have worded this question very badly.
You did, because I had asked you what you meant about that.
Yeah, I think that
Oh, there's a teacher nodding.
Jess is never this ambiguous.
There's always a clear message when Jess tweets.
Very clear.
Sorry.
Clarity.
Sorry. And David says Bestie's mini milk. Something which we'll not get into tonight.
Can I say as well, Stephen Ireland's Newcastle career? Did anyone actually see him play for us?
Did he play once?
I don't even remember.
Came on.
I thought Stephen Ireland was such a good player, and he never even. He
Roger, you've mentioned him on the podcast, and I can't remember why.
When he got his abs out in Tupto.
In town, yes.
Him and Leon Best.
Yep. And something like some random Irish player forward. Fumaca's Newcastle career. Now there's one for you, Google.
Never heard of him.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
He was like the king of the step over.
Oh,
he was just like a real legendary player.
Claudio Cachapa. Remember him?
Fabrice Prankat. Oh, we're just going to go down the route of players
just
that
go
had a
down
very
this-
short-lived
What?
career.
I was gonna say a pancake, but I thought no, I've mentioned him. He's had enough airtime.
Yeah, I think he's been brought up a few times as well. I think he has done.
This is where this podcast where the weird stuff happens. Like was talking weird stuff. You're like stats and important stuff. And they're like talking about naked footballers and Fumaca.
Mate, if you can ever find an Always Smiling Faces podcast that mentions stats, I'll give you all of the money that comes in ever, off this YouTube channel. You can have it all, mate.
I get me selling you green screen.
So let's go on into the game, which is coming up it's another Saturday dinner time kickoff. This one, Liverpool, who's they've lost quite a few games to the teams around our area, so the likes of Burnley, Southampton, who else? Not so long ago, only that week they lost to. There's a few. The Fulham, they got beat 1-0 by Fulham.
Yeah.
Do I have a chance, Chris?
I think this season we're doing more than any other. It depends because there's rumours Sir Maximin might be injured. So if there is there not? Am I wrong?
He hobbled off.
He did he not?
He limps off every game, mate. Every game he hobbles off.
Apparently he's going to be a
swag
fitness test. He's just keeping us sweating, I think. But I think without him, I think we don't really stand a chance. But their back four's not the two centre halves. Obviously, without Van Dijk and Gomez or Matip, they're not what they could be. So if we get at them, which I mean, I don't think we will, but if we do,
if we get amongst them,
if we get amongst, they get at them.
If we pure shithouse them,
which we won't. But if we did, then we could stand a chance. But I think a draw at best. I think in this one.
All right, okay. Roger?
No. No, I think your team's just been absolutely hammered by the whole of the world for doing something really shithousery. You're on a bit of a bad run. You've been knocked out of the Champions League. Who do you want to play?
Yeah, totally.
I cannot see anything other than we're getting beat. I think they'll take whatever anger they have out on us, and we'll be happy whipping boys. Brucey will be like, he's already probably he'll line up their excuses already,
Mm.
and then he'll toss them under the bus at the end of the game like he normally does. So I'm not really that hopeful but who's Matt Heap, by the way?
What?
Matt Heap.
Joe Matty?
Oh, right. I say Matt Heap. Who the fuck's Matt Heap?
You know, Matty Heap.
No, I'm more worried that you said Matt Tip as well on the end of that one.
Matt Heap.
Back to Liverpool, Laura. What are you expecting from this one? Because let's be honest, I think your New Year's resolution was to be optimistic.
Oh, was it? I never ever
You should have tweeted it.
New Year's resolution. No, I think I'm quite a positive person on the podcast, but I think I'm in two minds because did we get a point off them?
It was nils each, I think.
Yeah, so
nils each.
Are we going to get more than 1 point off Liverpool in the season? Just looking at it like superstitiously, probably not.
Yeah.
However, I'm not watching it. I'm going out. So it'd be totally typical if it's like a Newcastle like masterclass and we'll hammer them and it's a brilliant game and everyone's talking about it and I missed it because I'm out. So I don't know.
3-0 Newcastle. 3-0 Newcastle.
Oh, 3-0.
Yeah.
Is that just because Laura's going out and missing it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Can you not find a beer garden that might have a TV in it?
They're already booked and it definitely doesn't have one.
You tried. Yeah.
Sky
I don't
Go on
understand
your
those.
mobile.
Yeah, I don't understand those. So bars that have got TVs in the gardens because the sun
You
just
cannot
bounces
see
off
it.
them and you can't see them.
No, I'm gonna turn me group chat off and everything and try and make it through the day without finding out.
So everybody watching this that has Laura's number, if rather than send her a WhatsApp, text
Funnily
her.
enough, since I updated my phone, I don't get any notifications, so I'll not know. I have to open the app to get them. So
can we arrange it like an aeroplane with a banner behind it?
It's not at home, is it? I'll not like.
It's away, I think.
Yeah.
It's
I
won't even hear like Matt Ritchie cheering when we score anything, so it'll be fine.
I think this one. I think Roger's probably hit the nail on the head. That it's if Liverpool are going to get will create a reaction. If they could pick any team to play, it probably would be Newcastle United because we are that team. Decker always says, Dr. Newcastle will see you now when somebody is wanting something, whether it's a goal-scoring drought by a striker or if it's a team that hasn't won all season. I think, who was it? Was it Sheffield United in the season? Hadn't won. So here comes Newcastle United. But I think, like Laura said as well, you can look at it in two ways. Newcastle, obviously, 3 wins now. I love people that be watching this thinking, this idiot's saying 3 wins. And Steve Bruce said 3 wins, right?
Yeah.
We might be looking for a 4th. And how many points do we need now to I'm saying guarantees safety. I still know a few off mathematically. But if we pick 1 point up this one, Chris, is that it done?
I think we need another 4 to be
4. Jesus Christ.
I do.
Yeah.
Because you cannot rely on Fulham. Like Fulham are capable. They were literally seconds away from beating Arsenal.
I know, but
Arsenal scored in the 97th minute.
But that's the kind of shit.
Yeah, that happens to you when you're down there.
I know it is. But hopefully that's completely dented their confidence, and they just don't win another game this season till the last one.
It'll be done and dusted by the time we play Sheffield United. I think.
Hopefully, because I hope we're not relying on beating Fulham on the last day of the season. Because that is literally what I worry about. Because it's just Fulham are capable of knocking out some surprise results. That's the only thing that worries us. But I do think a draw, and then if we beat Sheffield United, if we got a draw out with any of the next couple of games, because I think we've got. Is it Liverpool, City, and Arsenal? I think in the next
the big lads coming up.
I think we've got Leicester. We've got Leicester
as well, and then we've got Sheffield United, and then is it Fulham straight after that? So I think a draw against one of the big, like obviously the big 6,
big 6,
and then top 6 now,
and then a win against Sheffield United should see us all right. To be honest.
Okay, Roger, how many points do we need?
What one? 35 now. Another 3 points will do it. I think. I think Fulham, like, I just kind of famous last words, and luckily this isn't recorded.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Just kind of, I mean, West Brom are down. Yeah, I just think there's too many mathematical things that have to happen for, Burnley.
Fulham stars have to align, don't they?
Yeah, like Fulham, Burnley, and Brighton all have to win. I know obviously they're only a couple of points within us, but like everybody has to capitulate for Fulham to capitalise. So, I just can't see it now. From going like a few weeks ago where we're absolutely dead and buried after that Burnley, the Brighton game.
Yeah,
it's just, I mean, Steve Bruce once again has worked his magic, and lads,
just go run around and score a goal. Go run around and score a goal. Laura, how many more points do we need? Or do we need any?
I personally don't think we need any. I think we're all right now. Again, just like I touched on before, I think when you're down like Fulham, I think things don't go your way. And luckily, for once in a blue moon, things last week seemed to go our way. Like the West Ham game went our way once in my life. So I'm hoping that leads on to doing the same thing, and Fulham will go the opposite way. So I personally think we're okay now. However, I hope we do at least get a couple of points from the next few games.
Because none of us would have said we'd beat West Ham 3 weeks ago.
No.
And like everyone, when you do your predictors and you're looking at the games you're going to win and lose, that was like, I was like, we're never going to beat West Ham. They're on a great
was
run.
the only one
I didn't really say, make it a draw against Burnley. But when then Brucey's mags.
What I want to do, I'll end it on one question that's just came in at the very end there by Callum Lewis. We'll start with you, Chris, again. Callum Lewis says, do we start Joe Willock over Sean Longstaff on Saturday?
No, because Sean Longstaff's been playing really well. I think I don't think you'd drop him for the start of the game. I would bring him on again as an impact sub, probably last 20. But I think Sean Longstaff's done enough to keep his place, to be honest, because he did get a lot of criticism in the beginning of the season. But he's since he's come back into the team, his work rate, his passing, everything. I think he's been really good, to be fair.
Yeah. Roger?
Over Shelby, yeah.
Do you think that'll happen? No,
it won't happen.
Never. You've got about as much chance as a 14 league breakaway with naked players as you have from Shelby. So no. Did you see that thing on Twitter that it was Carl Davey had sent in a question?
Oh, why are you so lazy?
Why are you so lazy?
Yeah, like Steve. I think like
I love how he answered it as well.
He's like statistics. He just said the word statistics several times.
I love the way he said it might look like I don't run, but I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if people listen to the Peter Crouch podcast, but he does an episode on about the likes of stats and how there's cameras in the ground and they pick up how much you run. But he says these it's like your heart rate monitors never stop at all, even at half time. So you'll see players when the referee blows half time, they'll sprint into the tunnel because they've got like a 15-minute break after that. So they'll sprint in the tunnel just to get the stats up a little bit, so it looks like they're working harder than the other players on the field. So maybe that's what Shelby's doing.
Yeah, maybe
he's doing sprints in the change room, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's doing like. I was just trying to say that.
Sorry. Jess wouldn't have done that. Laura, we'll let you end with this one as well. So, Joe Willock, Longstaff.
I agree with Chris. I think Sean Longstaff had a lot of criticism. He had a long spell out of the team. We don't know why that is. There was rumours he had like argument with Bruce, so wasn't in favour with Bruce, clearly wasn't. And I think it would be unfair to then drop him again and maybe knock his confidence and things when he's doing all right. He hasn't put a foot wrong. So yeah, again, Willock, brilliant, saved her again, good for goals. But like Chris said, I think bring him on when we need it.
And we're going to need legs.
That Longstaff was the mole, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That was a rumour going on. The mole that doesn't exist.
Which Longstaff?
Both.
I think it's the dad. It's the ice hockey dad.
The dad.
He's been leaking it.
Could be. Could be. Well, let's call it a night, everybody. And we'll let you crack on. It's 10 o'clock. It's a late one tonight. Well past the
This is the
watershed.
latest I've been up all week.
Is it?
Genuinely.
And you've got Ofsted tomorrow, haven't you?
Well, not tomorrow, but soon.
Maybe you do.
Maybe. Don't know.
They're in the car
Maybe you
park
do.
when you get there.
No, they're not. They're not
Flashing the
starting.
lights.
They don't start on the 4th of May.
And you can just do a shelvie. You can go, it may have looked like a shit lesson, but it wasn't. It's just the way you're seeing it. You know?
That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay, so the kids learn nothing. Ooh.
Well, thank
It's
everybody.
about the accumulation of
Accumulation of lessons.
Knowledge.
Yes, accumulation. It's
Right.
human nature.
Well, full circle. We've gone back to human nature.
Human
Absolute
nature.
full circle. Love it. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Everybody watching, you will be happy to know Jess will be back next week with some notes and some structure to Extra Time. I'm calling it a night on this one. I won't be back ever. Thanks everybody. Thanks everybody who has been watching. We'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.